now go live with Ian Rollins and Earl Mason.
And good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday afternoon. I'm Ian Rollins with my colleague, Mr. Earl Mason, reporting live from Argus Group Insurance on Wesley Street today on this Monday rainy afternoon. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Ian. How are you today?
I am good. All is well?
Lovely weather we're having. Although some people may not agree, but we need a little liquid sunshine in our lives to make everything green and clean.
That's for sure. But when the summer comes, we get that little drought.
Yes.
There's no rain. Then we're praying for, we need some rain.
We need some rain.
So it's all good.
Yes.
It's all good.
Yes.
We've got some special guests right off the top. We've got some rugby people in.
Yeah.
Explain to us what it's going to be all about today.
Well, as we all know, this weekend was the Aerial Reed Sevens. Last weekend was Bermuda taking on Jamaica in a Rugby North America event. Bermuda started off strong, was able to convincingly beat Jamaica, and then this weekend we had high school and colleges on island taking part in the sevens, which is always interesting to watch. We have with us two members from the Bermuda Rugby Football Union. We got to make sure we say that correctly. But we'll start off with Jamie, national coach. Jamie, you've come on board. You've seen what the local boys can do, and girls. I'm sorry, women. And you kind of impressed right away because in talking to you, you see what potential is out there, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you don't have to be a rugby expert to see the talent that Bermuda has. I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to work with some of these people and to be and help them on their journeys. Really, that's where I fit in.
when you first get on island and you're looking around and you find the sport, obviously you have quite a bit of history with it. How do you say no to something that you have a passion in?
It's very difficult because you can't.
Right.
The one thing I always do know is that whenever you are, wherever you end up in life, whatever team you get involved in, you're always involved with it for. It's really a short piece of time,
right?
In history, if you look at it, you know, and not to want to coin one from the All Blacks, but leaving the jersey in a better place has always been a philosophy that I always kind of follow. So whatever we can do, in this period of time to leave it in a better place than it was before, then that's great. I think that if we can always strive to do that, I think you're probably always seeking for continual improvement somehow, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, welcome.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Did you enjoy yourself this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't enjoying myself as much as I would have liked. I was on the sidelines, but it was so great to watch the girls go out and compete against, quite as well-established and skilled collegiate teams. So it was, a really big weekend for women's rugby. Is
it always a surprise when the women take to the field and it's physical? It's because it's contact. And we don't play a lot of contact in Bermuda. So is it a surprise that we can compete, especially in the sevens? Yeah,
I would say it's always good to have the real contact opposition in any game. As you just said, we don't have many opportunities to go out and compete as we would during a game in a real game situation with real contact play. So when you get a tournament of this size that's coming to the island, it's giving our girls a real opportunity to see and feel what a proper sevens tournament would look like. It's one thing to say, right, well, let's go out and play 7 minutes of full contact rugby, but in a tournament, you're playing across 2 days. You're playing usually 4 or 5 qualifiers before you even get a shot at a final. That's a completely different style of training, and something that we don't often get to showcase or to expose our women to unless we're traveling away for it. So it requires a totally different as an athlete, even just not just from the fitness perspective, but skills, how you play, playing styles throughout the games, nutrition, rest, recovery. It's of such incredible value to us as we continue to develop as a team.
One thing I noticed, it was on the field that 14 minutes or 16 minutes went by so quickly because the 2 minutes and a half. And then it's time to rest and make sure that you're hydrated and so forth. But do you think, or talking with the girls, do you feel as if they understood what was important, especially after games, to make sure that they were under some shade, making sure they were taking the liquids to, regenerate his batteries?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're pretty good at that.
Right.
Yeah, I think we were talking the importance of the biggest time we had off was between the last group game,
Right.
which was like the semi-final really.
Right.
If we won that, we go through to the final, and the final that was a 2.5 hour wait.
Right.
So in that period of time, it's if you're staying out in the sun, you wilt.
Right.
I mean, literally, you wilt.
Right.
And so we have we get shoes off, we get socks off, and it's amazing how that just chills you out immediately.
Right.
And then you get in some shade and you just relax and go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We actually encourage the players to go to sleep in that 2.5 hour stint. I did.
Right.
Yeah, I actually went home.
Well, you found yourself kind of stressed out because you were bouncing between, although the girls were supporting the guys and the guys were supporting the girls, you have a different view of it because you're also making sure that although you don't coach the men's sevens, you still have some influence on that. So you kind of had a stressful weekend.
Well, I've very little influence on those two teams. They've got their own coaches, and in Tom's and also Tashon De Silva, fantastic coaches. They were dealing with players. The only interest I have is that we have a game against. I've got to say this right because I've been ribbed this week for saying Chesapeake, and it's not. It's Chesapeake University. There's WhatsApp messages with pictures of cheese that's flying around. So we've got Chesapeake University tonight, and just from the 15s point of view, it's just making sure that the players, because some of them are on crossover a little bit,
right.
and it's to make sure that we can still hold the team's integrity. So we want to get out and we want to perform.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same token, we also want to give players an opportunity who are perhaps coming through and give them a shot at perhaps the guys who were finishers last time against Jamaica, give them opportunities to be starters in this game and put their hands up and compete for positions. So it's just looking at them, make sure that nobody's injured or
right.
Sevens is a tough week.
Tough, yes.
And it
so many short games, but it takes a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to have a lot of players this weekend are going to play. Some of the guys will to counter that will come on just for a half, play half, or not at all in some cases.
Right. Are the women chomping at the bit to get their hands on a full contact 15 aside?
I mean, nothing is impossible at this point. From where we saw you last, we were going through quite an aggressive recruitment period of trying to bring more women to the sport. Jamie might have better ideas on the numbers here, but I want to say we're like floating somewhere around the high 30s to 40 people. So that's our experienced women alongside new recruits. For us, this weekend was really important because we had an opportunity to showcase some of the rising stars that are coming out of that player development program that's been established. The youngest of which being a 13-year-old high school student called Xavier Dwelling, who showcased at her first international this weekend. So for us, this has been a real fantastic opportunity, and from here we just look to see how we can continue to develop and build upon that. So it's definitely would hope we could go anywhere with the numbers in a year or so. Maybe we'll see a 15 side from Bermuda.
That was going to be my next question. What does this mean for the women now? You've taken this opportunity to play on Saturday on this international match. You've recruited new players. You have about 30 or 40 combined players. Where do you see the program in 2 years from now?
That's a fantastic question. That one right there. It's the question that we're asking ourselves right now. To be honest, I think we had a. To be fair, we had a vision and initially, and I think it was we're coming towards what we're kind of achieving that, and now we have to set a new one.
That's good.
Yeah, which is great because we're up to 37 players. Our vision from here is now to get up to 60. That's where we want to get up to. We've got some real exciting youngsters. I have to really name. There's a girl called Isaiah Bartley out of BHS. There's Xavier Doyling, who's 13. She scored her first try, by the way, as well, which was incredible. We've got a girl called Justice Smith, Naima Darrell Coffey, Kyra Robinson. This is 12. Wait till you see this 12-year-old called Dominique Brown. We spotted her over at. I was with you that day. We spotted her over at. It was the Touch. Middle school tournament.
The Wednesday evening.
Boy, oh boy, she's coming along. She'll be coming along. First one. We also spotted Caitlin Brodie over at Salters Grammar. It's our first Salters Grammar student, which is great. And I'm sure that may be the first of quite a few.
Right.
Sarah Cross, just to name. I mean, boy, oh boy, the list goes on and on and on. These girls are 12 to 14 years old, and they're holding their own amongst our senior women.
Right. Right.
Oh, and Asia. So, I mean, wow, there's so many I could list. I'm sorry if I've forgotten anybody.
Right.
I'm just, yeah, I mean, that's incredible. They're training amongst senior women. They're getting a lot of experience from the senior women. They're passing down their knowledge.
Right.
It's a real team effort.
Right.
And you'll see, performance-wise, I mean, there's two aspects. There's better people, better athletes. That's what we preach. That's what we're about. But if you're talking about the performance end of the academy, you won't see it for another 2-3 years. You'll see it when these girls get to 16.
Right, but the good part is that the numbers are growing.
Yes.
It also sounds like the development is growing faster than you anticipated. If you're saying the 12-year-olds are in line with your senior players, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, within reason. Of course, the senior players have got another notch of experience, but they will tell you that sevens in particular is a young person's game.
Yes.
It's I mean, and we've had some remarkable stories. Gillian Cross.
Yes.
But she's 40, young 40s, but she's still
playing,
doing it now. And to some extent, age is only a number, and we we often say we pick on form, and age is irrelevant. But sevens is tough to ask on the body, so you have to. Gillian, thankfully, is in really good shape, so she's still managed to compete at that level. But it's really exciting.
With the success that you guys have put together the last few months, last time you spoke, what do you attribute that success with?
The girls.
Yeah.
The girls first. Sorry, Gemma.
Go for it.
It all started. Everything is about them. Everything's player centered. Everything we do is about them. There is, without, I say we kind of feel like because we never really knew what the uptake would be. We never really know if girls are going to come along. We never really know if they're going to. Of course, we try and create the best learning, safe, positive environment for them to operate in, and I'm sure Gemma will elaborate on that a little bit. But but without their commitment, and they have to sign little contracts really, which is talking about commitment and making sure that they give lots of effort and they learn like sponges and they react positively to mistakes. We create a positive environment for everybody, and and they talk about perseverance and turning up on time. And I mean, it was amazing that after that, I think for the first few months I was here, I was always the first at training. I would normally be there anyway, But it was only a couple of weeks ago. I was turning up, 20 minutes before the half an hour meet time, which is even half an hour before the start of training, and there were already ladies at the front gate, and that was. And I was like, okay, we're obviously we're doing something right. So
I think what's great is with the large number of influx of new players, a lot of them, yes, they're out to develop new skills and to come and be exposed to the sport and to take something away. But as much as that, they're also there for one another, and we're developing a culture of, as Jamie says, young women that look out for each other first and foremost. And that, I think, is where teams win or lose. It's just on their attitude, how they come together, and how that all interacts. So it's definitely a new generation of women's rugby.
I know, just before we go to commercial break, the season's winding down, so how do we plan to keep the interest of the new breed of young ladies?
Great. So they're about to start a 6-week strength and conditioning program. So that'll be a great thing for all of our athletes, and then a lot of intensive skills throughout that period of time as well. So it's just the next stage of their development, and then they'll be back into playing various games, and I'll keep going on in the background. But we do need to look at. We've got a touring team coming in shortly, and that may be I think that may even be a 10-a-side, might even be 15-a-side. We're not sure yet, because they're bringing quite a few ladies down. Which will be brilliant if we can do that.
And I think also aspirationally, if you look at from a young player's perspective, they can literally go anywhere with the sport, especially in this region. You know, we have real tangible opportunities to go and represent overseas against other countries. So, you know, Rugby America's North Sevens League is taking place in Cayman around the middle of July this year. That's an Olympic qualifying year. So for us, you know, we may not be heading to the Olympics in 2020, but what we are, you know, hopefully, you know, giving girls a bit of a view as to how they can start to take that pathway towards becoming, you know, an elite athlete, and eventually, and potentially even with some of the recruits we have looking to represent Bermuda on the national stage and go away and represent the country. So that's something that's really tangible, you know, with hard work and focus and commitment to one another. So it's exciting.
Good, good. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with more Inside Sports Talk after these messages from our sponsors.
Inside
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio here on Power 95. Again, joining us in Argus.
You want to say still?
I was going to say CBU, man. I got to remember where I am. Well, we're still talking with the folks from rugby, but we were talking off air, and Jamie, you were mentioning, I want to say it right, big, audacious, hairy.
I used to finish that sentence.
Dreams, goals, aspirations. That's it. But you have one. You have an idea.
Well, I feel like I'm letting it out of the bag early because we've not even really spoken about it. But literally, as in, you know, this morning I'm very aware that there's a Junior Olympics coming about, and I've been speaking with a couple of. I spoke with Tashawn De Silva the other day, and you know he's you know, well, not only is he just a phenomenal player, but he's on his coaching path as well, you know, and he does make a huge strides with the boys. But yeah, no, I know that the Junior Olympics is coming up, and we were just thinking like big, hairy, audacious goals. You know, the HAGs as we refer to. What are they? What are we gonna? And we looked across our list of players of what we have and the girls that are coming in, and there's a whole host between the ages of 12 and 14, and that could be, and it's a very talented group. They don't actually realise how talented they are. That's the genius of it.
Right.
You know, when you have girls who don't even realise how good they are, they're very humble with what they do.
Right.
Yeah. They don't. There's no preconception there. But I know that there's funding coming out of that way, and this could be something that would be phenomenal. It's so what are you going to do in the next 2 years? And actually, that's something that they literally floated this morning, and I thought,
But I must say, it is nice to see or hear that young ladies are being pushed or will be pushed in that regard, because we often hear about the young men in sports being pushed and pushed into the next phase, but it would be good to see that the girls will have something that they can target to ensure that they have something to strive towards too.
Yeah, and I mean, and any kind of success at that level is done years in advance.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about now, but we've sat, this is our journey. This is Bermuda's journey. This is what we are doing. We can't copy anybody else.
Right.
We'll get there when we get there. And this is just where we're at right now. And this conversation is part of it. And, and if we can, this is already exciting me. And I'm sure that if I turn around to these, if I know these women, this group of girls, and I float this out, you'll
be showing up. You'll be the last to training.
Hour early. Well, the thing is, a lot of these girls they're very talented as much that they do other. I mean, of course, there's other sports. I know that of course, Bermuda volleyball are all over a lot of these girls as well. In terms of getting they're involved. Bermuda basketball, of course, because they're talented. They're multi-talented. They're just games players, right? Right. But they have, at the same token, we're doing the same thing, and it's. We never ever want to bend somebody's arm to do it. We want them to, to be able to hedge. Actually, this is what I really want. And actually, if we can keep the other things going at the same time, then brilliant.
Right.
We want to. So we just got to manage it, and that's keep everybody happy. And,
right. Well, folks, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Look forward to you getting back out there playing soon.
Oh, we'll see. Playing the long game here.
Yeah. Well, we know. But after the past 2 weekends of rugby, I think the future looks bright for the sport on Ireland. So,
100%.
Yeah. And folks, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be in touch very soon. We'll be back with more Inside Sports Talk Radio after these messages from our sponsors.
Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Beeston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Again on this Monday, March 18th. Now joining us in the boardroom of Argus is two representatives from NEPO, President Kamal Evans, and I want to say co-captain?
No, captain.
Captain. Sorry, Captain. C'est la Tuzo. Welcome you two. Countdown is fast approaching to the Jean-Pierre tournament. This isn't your first time, is it?
No, it's not my first time.
So obviously you're what we'll consider a seasoned vet for this particular championship. But first, Madam President, the team, most of the girls just finished the season.
Yes.
And obviously you would be satisfied with the outcome of the season, although a lot of disruptions between rain and, of course, the damage of the courts. But let's first give us an overall synopsis of the league season, Digicel under 12, under 16, and then the seniors.
Well, the season has been a really good, productive season. We've seen growth from all clubs across the board. In the under 12s, I can say you always have, it's a sticky situation because the age variations in teams sometimes becomes the key factor in whether you win matches or you lose matches. Some clubs had fielded some really young teams, but we saw development, and that's what we really want to see. In the under 16, once again, I think they were about evenly matched as far as age is concerned. However, you can see some development in everyone. And statistically wise, we just got that out. Basically, the Digicel Under 12 League was won by Phoenix Sparks, who won 6 matches, lost 1, and drew 1. It was a really, really good season for them. And we hope that they continue to, push girls through the club so that we can continuously build NAPO with North Village Rams red in second and white in third and Storm in fourth place. However, what I say how these things are shaken up is that that's the stats of the actual league.
Right.
We had several tournaments throughout, and some of the highlights I can definitely say was that the Harold Durlin tournament was won by Phoenix. The Merle Parfit Hustle tournament was won by Storm, who was actually at the bottom of the league.
Right.
But they won that tournament, which was a round-robin tournament, where they had to play everyone in order to win it. And then you have the Who's Who winner, which was North Village White. So, it was evenly spread, of course. You see some victory, and that's what we want to see within our leagues. We want to challenge them. We want them to see some success. And then that way you can grow as a holistic player. Likewise in the under 16s, I should say unlikewise in the under 16s, Storm Lightning, kind of like they just ran rampant through the entire league. Playing 9 matches and winning every single playing 9 matches and winning. It's not her team. She plays in the senior league.
You don't play down anymore?
No. She hasn't played down in 2 years.
She's that good.
Still her team.
It should be her team. It should be her team. And yeah, we had them that basically won that, and then they won pretty much every tournament from there on. Also taking the top goal scorer, which was Amaya Butterfield from that team. So but you still saw some competitiveness. With, like I said, Storm Lightning won it with 27 points. Phoenix Fire was right behind on 24 points, having played 9 matches. They won 8 and they lost 1. So, like I said, for us, it shows that things are really starting to develop.
Right.
And likewise, North Village Reds were behind, shortly behind with 15 points, having won 5, 4 losses, and no draws. So it's progress. And I think the help of the national program, specifically in that under 16 area, is helping to boost the abilities and the NAPO skill set of the players. Yeah.
Well, let me quickly jump before we go to the seniors. Let me quickly jump to Selah. Selah, I had the opportunity of meeting you and your team. Very talkative, Ian, amongst themselves. But when you put a camera in front of them, shyness comes out. But overall, you guys have been together for a while.
Yes.
How do you feel personally about the gel of the team?
Well, at first, since we're all different teams, we were kind of like standoffish to one another, and we would like train with people from our group. And now, as it's been like a year because we started training last April, we can see that we look like one team and we act as one team.
Right.
And before, even though we would speak to each other at the courts, like respectfully, now we have a conversation or two, and you can see that there's been growth and that we're like friends and a family now.
Right.
Actually,
I often look at how, especially when you guys are playing against one another, how you look out for one another, or you're on the sideline, but especially the under 16s, how they're looking out for one another and helping each other up and giving advice and so forth. But going into, some of these girls would be the first time going to a tournament like this. Going into it, what is your message to your team to ensure that we don't have that fear that we can compete?
Being that I am the only person to have experienced the type of play like from the Jean Pierre, well, I've already expressed to the girls that my goal is just for us to do our best and have a good time. But I know the first game will be the hardest since it'll be that first knock into like that type of play. I just want I don't want anyone to just get shaken up to the point where they can't perform at their best ability. So I just say, do what you can, and we're setting out goals for everybody individually because we're not all the same. And we're just going to try to stick to it.
Now, take us back to your first time, because obviously you were the youngest,
Yes.
Probably fearless, because I've known you for a while, so I know that you're not going to worry too much about those things. But when you look back at your first time, do you feel as if you can shake off whatever you were feeling a year ago or 2 years ago to this time around?
Most definitely, only because when I went to my first Jean Pierre tournament, since I was the youngest, I didn't play the first couple of games. And I had to work very hard to get on the team.
Right.
As I was 12 and everyone else was like 16, 17.
Right.
So the first couple of games I was watching, and I was happily watching. I was taking videos, I was cheering everybody on. I was having a great time watching. But then as it gets down, people do start getting injured and they do start getting upset, and those types of things happen. So I started to play, and I was put on, and I was excited. I was happy to go out and play. So
take the camera with you too.
Yeah. For me, as I watched the games, I saw exactly what I needed to do to help my team.
Now, as the president mentioned, you've been playing senior league for 2 years now. How has that helped your growth in the sport?
What I like about the senior league is that even though I'm playing against most adults, they don't ease up on me because I'm a child.
Right.
They continue to play how they would play against anybody else, and I really appreciate that because it's going to help me when I play internationally. And it's a lot more physical than under 16s, and that's also very helpful.
A little faster as well, isn't
yes.
it? Yeah. Evans, let's go through that senior league, because the team that won it had to come from behind. Had some injuries at the beginning, so.
Yeah, I mean, it would be expected. I mean, they're a very seasoned team. They've been together playing together as a unit for at least 10, maybe even more, 15 years. And that's to be expected. Right. And I mean, I must congratulate them because, I mean, it's a huge feat to, come from behind and pull it off like that. And so we definitely want to congratulate Phoenix Heat for taking the senior league this year. Danielle Reyna, she's kind of unstoppable down there. You know, she's a shooting machine. Yeah, she's a shooting machine, and you know, I think it's great to see, and it's our hope that she will, you know, maybe stick around and be a part of the national program at some point to help to encourage and inspire our younger shooters that are coming behind her. I mean, she's still eligible herself, so you know, it's our hope that that can definitely happen. And they took the league with 41 points, with 13 wins and 2 losses and no draws. So, you know, despite Danielle being there, they would still be able to pull off some victories, having the experience of Dominique, you know, and Calandra and some of those ladies that played at the international level. So, yeah, definitely huge kudos to them. Lindo's Tigers, another bunch of athletic people that have played not only just NAPO internationally. You have Keon DePierman that's played volleyball and continues to be on the Bermuda national volleyball team. She is phenomenal. Down in defense with the agility, the height, you know, all of that. So we really have to commend and congratulate Lindo's Tigers, just narrowly behind them with 39 points. And in third place is Storm Thunder, which is the team that Sailor plays for, with 10 wins and 5 losses and no draws. You know, despite really being competitive probably against Phoenix Heat, never was able to really pull off a victory against them, and they did beat Tigers, and almost narrowly beat them this weekend, you know, coming from behind and tacking up their score. But, you know, kudos to them, and we have to be very, very grateful for what we're seeing and in the development of the clubs, and it's in hopes of that it will continue to happen, and that amongst these players that are here now, you know, they've got the netball bug and they're looking to stay on, whether it be in the capacity as a player or a coach, or, you know, maybe getting their own junior club, because the youth is where it's at, and we have to continue to try and promote and build our sport.
You mentioned youth, and you've got this young lady here with you. What does the youth program look like going forward? As she's so excited, she represents me at the age of 12. She seems like a seasoned veteran now. Aside from her, what is the program looking like for the youth?
Well, for us, for ever since I've been coming on here, I constantly speak that we are operating as a program. This is not just a one-off, and we just don't want to prepare for tournaments. It's something that we want to continue to do throughout the year, obviously adjusting the scheduling in off-season and on-season, to make sure that we can get the best of the athletes, keeping them together, because as you see, you know, that's where the camaraderie comes. That's where the feeling of, I know exactly what she's going to do, how she's going to move, how her timing is going to be. And netball is not just a game about skill set of hands and feet. It's a mind game, and you have to have it up here in order for you to be able to be the best player that you can be. Because if you can outthink your opponent, I think that helps you to be that much of a more versatile player, a player that's going to be able to adjust to any circumstances.
Sayla, have you been able to master a craft playing in the seniors? When I say master craft, learn different ways of getting away from your defender and putting yourself in position that will be more of an aggressive player in attack than if you would have stayed with the under 16?
Playing with the senior league, it's not many teams in the senior league. So when you continue to play against the same teams, you see the defending styles, because I'm an attacker. So I usually know who I'm going to be playing up against, and I prepare myself mentally for, if I know it's going to be this team I'm playing, I know it's going to most likely be this defender. So most defenders don't run with me, because they won't be able to.
Right.
I like what
They won't be. So go ahead.
So I usually see more of like a holding type of defender, or when they are able to keep up with me, I just have to change direction, or I would hold the player instead of doing as much movement to save myself energy. But you just have to know your player, and when you don't, and you go into tournaments where you don't know, you have to try different things, and that's where you have to think about different ways you can get away from it.
You tend to do a lot of movement and using your ability to be able to jump to your advantage. What type of player do you like to play against? Because as you said, not everybody's going to be able to keep up with you, and they use that blocking system, so they put the body between you and the net to make sure you can't get around. So what type of defender do you like? Someone that's going to run with you, or someone that's going to try and stop you from getting that pass in?
I like a challenge, but what would be easier is when they're a stagnant player and they do try to hold. Because some are able to hold very well, but if I just dodge one way and I can just make it around, they're flat-footed, so they won't be able to catch up with me. So it makes it very easy, whilst a running player that will be able to keep up with me will bring some challenge and camaraderie because they're the same speed as me. I'm going to have to think and be like, oh, they're still with me. I have to change. I have to dodge. I have to do something in order, because there's only 3 seconds.
Right.
So you got to get the ball.
I learned that way too.
With all the success you have as a young lady, what sort of advice do you pass on to your competitors and your team players in your age group?
I think that netball is a sport where you just come to love it as you begin to play it. And some people do grow out of the sport, and that's because sometimes it's a bit too much. It can be really overwhelming, but I suggest that you just do your best. Because if you don't do your best, then you'll never see what you're fully capable of as a player. You have to listen to your coaches, and you should look for advice from people that have been playing longer than you, because then you get to see from different perspectives. Because nobody's story is going to be the same as another person's, but you can look from their experiences and try to make your own.
President, any final words you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I'd like for Bermuda to get behind us. We'll be departing for Antigua on the 25th of March, with the tournaments kicking off on the 28th. We're definitely upping our water intake and trying to make sure we're going to be hydrated. It's approximately 80 degrees every day down in Antigua, so trying to get the point across to these young ladies. And you know, we're going to be trying to promote them and putting them out there so that Bermuda gets to see that these young ladies are not just netballers. You know, they are very inspiring, educated, and a well-rounded group of young ladies that have a lot more to offer than just netball.
Is there any talk, the last time you guys played in this tournament, you played in the morning, had the midday off, and then in the evening because of the heat? Has there been any talk of that same scenario this time around?
No, this time the schedule has matches kicking off at 6:15. It's 3 matches. So all the matches will be in the evening, 6:15, 6:30, and then a last match at 7:15. So they will be all around that time. Obviously, with this tournament, it's just more than tournament play. There are other activities that they will be attending. So it's a jam-packed schedule that, you know, we're going to be hitting the ground running. So,
well, wish you all the best next week, and I'm sure you put your best foot forward. Again, kudos to you and your team for putting out an excellent program under your leadership. Continue your hard work, and this proof is important right here.
Yeah, very much so. Thank
No
you.
problem.
A lot of things, I would just like to congratulate all our coaches for the time and effort that they've put in to give back to the sport of netball. We really appreciate the efforts.
Not a problem. We're going to go to Don Bassett as he has the news at the top of the hour, and then we'll come back with August Inside Health Fitness. We'll be back after the news and weather.
Now, back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baista.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday afternoon. As again, we're reporting live from Argus Group Insurance on Wesley Street. Joining us in the boarding room, studio again, Shakira Warner. She's a population health specialist here at the Argus Group. Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
All is well?
All is well. I'm a little bit feeling a little bit tired. I'm a little bit bruised up. I did participate with the team in the Bermuda Triple Challenge. It was just that, a challenge, but we had so much fun. So much fun.
And you're paying the price for it now.
And I'm paying the price for it now.
But
yeah.
you know what? Give her credit because it comes out of nutrition and fitness.
Yes.
And this month you're talking about nutrition.
Yes.
And this was an example of your triple-day challenge, your 3-day challenge where nutrition plays a role.
Definitely. And out of this challenge, for me personally, it definitely drove home the importance of good nutrition, not just in a sporting event, but just all around. Just, eating nutritious foods, eating foods that not only help you perform well, but also that make you feel good. Like, you feel so healthy eating this. But definitely during the weekend, it really was a highlight in my mind where I said, you know what? This is the importance of good nutrition to help me, perform in this instance, but also perform on a day-to-day, just performing here at work.
With that said, what sort of nutrition advice can you give our listeners right now from an event like this you just experienced over 3 days? We think of nutrition of anything, eating a granola bar, this, that, or some protein shakes that will get you over. But from your experience, what sort of advice would you give the listeners?
Definitely that it doesn't start. Good nutrition doesn't start an hour before the race,
That's a good point.
You have to prepare, you have, a few days before, make sure you hydrate, drink enough water. If you know that you're going to be, for example, out in the hot sun for an extended period of time, sometimes water doesn't cut it. Maybe you need to throw in a little bit of electrolytes. I prefer this kind of electrolyte tab called Noon, which is sold by BGA. It's a really good product. And also, having your fruits and vegetables, having enough carbohydrates, because those are the things that will give you energy over a long term. So sometimes when you eat fruit, it gives you that quick burst of energy. But if you're out there running for like an hour, you're going to need some more complex energy sources there. But that's just some basic advice. And on the line, I actually have our dietary expert, Miss Jessica Quigley from the Bermuda Dietitians Association.
Hi, everybody.
And good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. It's great to be back.
That's good. It's that time of the year where spring is just around the corner. People want to look well, feel well. After spring comes summer, and this is where people say, I want to feel this way. What sort of advice from a dietitian, how people can, let's say, make adjustments or make amendments to their daily diet so they can feel and look good in a certain way?
Okay, good question. Well, definitely everybody wants to get in summer shape. And one thing I would say is just try to get some more water in. A lot of people don't realize it, but they're walking around dehydrated. So make sure you get lots of water in and cut back on the sugared beverages. You'll actually notice that your skin will look more clear, you'll have more energy, and you'll probably be able to do a lot more activity, because I know people are back at the gym training and so on for different things like carnival. So definitely start off by increasing your water intake and getting rid of the sugar beverages. And just trying to go back to eating more whole foods. And when I say whole foods, I mean just eating foods from home, bringing in your lunches, and trying to eat more fruits and vegetables for snacks versus packaged products. That all goes a long ways.
Why do we people, I'm saying across the board, everyone, that we wait to the last minute? I use the carnival. Carnival's just around the corner, 2 months away, and we decide to put in the hard work as in training, and then we want to have this diet, this quick fix. We know full well it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely want to stay healthy and practice what you do for these type of events all year round. But a lot of times people kind of need a little bit more motivation. So I think it's good to be healthy. But then if you have special events like Carnival coming up, or maybe some people just want to look better for the summer or feel better, sometimes these things can motivate us to eat better and drink more water and so on. But everybody's motivational factors is going to vary. But I don't think it's good to wait till, just for summer. You want to try to be healthy all year round.
Question about the vegetables. There's always how you should prepare them. What is the best way to get the nutrients out of vegetables?
Actually, well, you can eat your vegetables from like a frozen and then cooked preparation. You can do them raw. Some people steam veggies, some people broil. So any way really you can get more vegetables in your diet is going to be an advantage. There are some cooking methods like boiling vegetables, for example, that cause some nutrients to get lost. But if you use that water, for example, like let's say you're boiling up broccoli, if you use that water in a soup, you're still going to get the nutrients in your foods. But the leaching of the nutrients is not a whole lot, but it is something to think about when you're consuming vegetables.
How about also adding a food scale? People tend to, when they start out, use the example with Earl saying broccoli, asparagus, any type of green, spinach or kale, they put this amount into their plate on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on the Thursday, Friday, they cut back because they say they're tired of eating this type of meal because they're not used to it. But more importantly, if you weigh the food out for the entire week, wouldn't it be better doing it like that?
You mean like weighing out your portions for every food or just vegetables?
No, all foods. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's good if your goal is to try to reduce your body fat. Sometimes people are eating healthy and they might not be seeing the results they want. So sometimes as dietitians, we will encourage people to really take a closer look at the actual portion they're giving themselves. When it comes to vegetables, it's hard to really go over your calorie needs with vegetables. So a lot of times I get people to say weigh out their proteins or their starches if they're not getting the results they want by just eating healthy foods. But I mean, if you're going to be increasing your vegetable intake, a lot of times it's going to help fill you up more, so you might eat less of the other foods that contribute to more calories. But portioning your food is good. I mean, you don't necessarily have to weigh your foods. You can even just get certain size containers to keep your portions to a recommended serving.
And also, I think another kind of practical tip is you don't always have to, have your broccoli on its own or have your spinach on its own, but you can, stealthily incorporate it into, the foods that you like to eat. So say, for example, you want to make a rice or a pasta dish, you can add vegetables to that and kind of still keep in mind that, that portion that you would eat, if it was on its own, but incorporate it into that meal. So it's keeping it fresh, it's adding some variety, and it's pleasing to your taste buds.
Also,
Definitely.
would it help the diet the diet plan help the training program? Some people may eat the wrong diet that doesn't suit the training program.
Like I mean, the diet of any type of training program is like 80%. That's like the estimate, right? But the 80% of your results. So you could train as hard as you want in the gym. You really need that nutrition to be on point, that food intake to be on point to get those changes you want in your body, or just to get the health results you want as well, right? And I think, Shakira, you mentioned using a triple challenge. So I mean, nutrition definitely plays a role in your ability to just exert yourself for 3 days, right? Yeah. If not, you'll feel it hard after the 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take a commercial break. But before we go to commercial break, something to think about is this. People tend to lose weight quickly in the beginning. Whatever, if their goal is, say, lose 80 pounds, they can lose, say, 15 pounds in the first month. And then they get the challenge of saying, I can't lose any more weight. Just let our listeners know when we come back the advice how to go about it to get that extra 45 pounds, 50 pounds off after that. Let's take a commercial break and we'll be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baisden.
And welcome back. As we mentioned, Jessica, just before the break, people tend to lose 15, 20 pounds in the beginning, but they get discouraged after when they can't lose that extra 35, maybe 45 pounds. What sort of advice you give the average person who's listening to something like this?
Okay. So I'm trying to word this the best way possible because sometimes people are losing a lot of weight initially and it's a lot of water weight that the body was retaining. So if you make changes to your diet, let's say you're eating more of those whole foods I talked about and less of the package, you're going to notice a big difference in your salt consumption. So that's going to cause a lot of water to be lost in those first few, like anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. So you might notice this quick weight loss and then afterwards it kind of seems to like stagger off a little bit, but that's okay. 1 to 2 pounds a week is really all you should be aiming for when it comes to body fat loss. And that would bring me to like another point is that make sure that when you are starting any type of weight loss program, you're getting measured with a scale that does your body fat, your water, and your muscle mass. Because you want to make sure that you're not losing muscle. Because sometimes people can really go strong in the first few weeks and do a lot of dietary change. And you want to make sure that you're getting enough of those carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, so you're not losing muscle. Because if you are losing muscle, then that can cause what we call the weight loss plateau, which people tend to go through when they go too extreme. So basically, what that means is your metabolism kind of slows a little bit, and your body's not burning at the same rate. So I would suggest if you can, get on a scale that does your body fat, your water. A lot of gyms have those scales now. They're called Tanita scales. And get an analysis done of your body, your composition.
And the name again, what scale, name of the scale, I'm sorry?
It's called a Tanita scale. So I know a couple of gyms and health clinics in Bermuda have those now, so they can actually give you a full-page report of what you're actually made up of, your estimated bone mass, your estimated muscle mass, and so on.
That's important. That's really important. Any sort of advice you'd like to add before we wrap up with you?
Well, just make sure. I mean, when you're starting any type of dietary program or exercise program, make sure you go to the right people. Dietitians were trained to assess an individual's nutritional needs. A lot of people don't realize, but the dietitians is covered by your insurance. There's lots of private practices in Bermuda that would be more than happy to help people because we want you to succeed and get to your goals in a healthy way. So definitely try to get yourself referred to a dietitian if you have questions about this type of thing.
Before we go, my last question is, Earl may have one as well. May 24th is just around the corner as well. People starting to get in the poundage on the road, putting in the miles. Any sort of advice you give to them just before the big event?
In terms of nutrition, make sure that you, again, stay hydrated. I know that it gets really hot in Bermuda around May, and with regards to the hydration, you also want to make sure that you replace your electrolytes. So even just adding a little bit of orange wedges into your water can give you enough electrolytes sometimes to do these type of events. You don't necessarily need to go buy Gatorade, Powerade, because they tend to have a lot more sugar. But, that's kind of something you want to keep in mind is stay hydrated.
Sure.
You'll perform a lot better.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jessica. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
We'll still stay here live on radio here with Shakira. Shakira, we're still talking about nutrition, and this is Nutrition Month. What sort of advice do you give your clients right now who are looking for that new goal for 2019? They're over 3 months into the year.
Well, I think at the beginning of the year, everyone is looking to make some massive shift in their lifestyle. And when we go out to our clients as part of the Artist Thrive program, we say, just try something like a small change that you can maintain over time, whether that is swapping out one of your favorite sugar sweetened beverages for water, or adding something to your diet. We try not to use the language of cutting or taking away, but think about things that you can add or substitute in your diet that will reduce your calorie intake and just give you a bit more of give you more nutritious value. It's
interesting, Earl. The language has changed. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was cut, take away, right? And it was very regimental. And it's now 2019 where they're saying you can just add this, add that, amend this, amend that to your diet, and it's working for people more so now than I think in the past. Is it because of the language and just the advice you're giving now as opposed to 15 years ago?
I think we, in public health and in health promotion, a lot of the languages around, ways in which we can empower people. So using positive, reinforcing language to help inspire change, because the research actually shows that that is what inspires people to change, to make them feel empowered, to make the change and maintain it over time. So that's the approach that we take with regards to, well-being in the total sense, not just nutrition, not just exercise, but also mental health.
When you guys are talking with clients and potential clients and so forth, what are some of the things they're telling you that you guys come back and sort of sit around a table to discuss that possibly can assist?
Well, I can just think back to a couple of months ago, Nurse Stevens and I, we visited a client because their HR manager wanted us to do a lunch and learn on just nutrition. So we decided to focus the conversation on portion control and kind of figuring out, how much you should actually eat of what, and reading labels and things like that. And I have to say that this particular client group was a majority male audience.
Right.
So that was always, a very interesting interaction. But the feedback that we got from them is, particularly when it came to sugar-sweetened beverages, was, whoa, I never really thought about reading the label like this. I thought the calories on the label was actually what's in there.
Right.
But actually, you have to times it by 2 if there are 2 servings in there.
Right.
So the feedback that we get is that it is valuable. We try to put it in a way that gives some insight. So not trying to kind of spew the same things that you've heard over and over and over again. Like, we don't just try to tell you, okay, you should eat better. Okay, what does that actually mean? You have to make it practical and for the individuals in the room, and also being able to speak to the audience in an appropriate way. So speaking to a majority female audience is different from speaking to a majority male audience.
That's why I was asking. That's why I was asking on the phone about how do people prepare vegetables, because you always hear a group of people tell you, well, if you boil them, the nutritions are going, and she said that, but you use the water to do a soup, and it's always, people, I think, just want an idea of how to do it healthy, as opposed to, because they probably do want to do it, but okay, if it takes me half an hour to boil vegetables, but it takes me 20 minutes to prepare this meal, and we all know right now everybody's instant. They don't want to wait for nothing. So that's the challenge, I think, that people face.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. But the first step is to just try it. And no matter how you prepare the vegetables, just try to just incorporate some vegetables.
Right.
We know also in Bermuda that less people are, home cooks. So less people are cooking from home. So, if you do decide to go out to a buffet or pick up some lunch, just make sure that you are incorporating vegetables into that meal somehow.
Do you advise your clients as well about meal prepping?
I personally don't, because I'm not a nutrition expert. I'm not a dietitian. So basically the advice that we give is basically public health nutrition for everybody. However, if you do have specific goals that are related to performance, or you're starting an exercise plan or things like that, one, we would suggest you to go to a dietitian or a nutritional expert. Secondly, meal prepping, works for some people great. Some people, they get a little bit, fatigued. But again, it's all about finding, balance in your meals, and then taking into consideration what's practical for your lifestyle, and then also what your goals are.
When you got into this, what are some of the things you learned that you probably took advantage of or weren't taking advantage of yourself personally?
Prior to joining Argus, I worked for the Ministry of Health. And I think that the Eat Well plate is an excellent tool for just basic nutrition. So the Eat Well plate, it's based on the Bermuda Dietary Guidelines. And all it is really just an image of a plate a circle
Mhm.
and you divide it, half your plate vegetables, a quarter starches, and a quarter protein or meat alternatives.
Mhm.
And honestly, that is something I use on a day-to-day basis. So like if I'm at the family barbecue or I'm going out to eat or
So you bring that plate with you.
no, it's just
Yeah.
ingrained.
Yeah.
Like you just know, okay, I need to put the first thing that I dip up on my plate are the vegetables, and I make sure that it's half a plate of vegetables. So
Right.
that's just a tool that I use that I found to be extremely practical,
Mhm.
and I apply my day to day.
Most barbecues you go to don't have vegetables, man.
No. They,
But
They do though.
they do, and
Yeah.
that's where each of us can become agents of change. I think we understand that when we go to the family barbecue, what are we going to see? Macaroni and cheese, fish, fried fish, peas and rice. You see
Now
a
the
lot
AM
of
still with the
starches.
top on it.
The top on it, you'll see maybe a little
Yeah.
sad little tossed
Yeah.
salad that's wilted at the end of the table. But each of us can become agents of change. How about instead of bringing instead of having two types of rice, instead of having Spanish rice and peas and rice, why don't we just bring one rice and then do like a mixed vegetable?
That's true.
So I think that these types of changes in the family setting, they help, and they're starting. Like you are starting to see that in Bermuda.
Right.
You just got to be encouraged.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Any final comments, man, before you wrap up?
No, that's pretty much it. But really looking forward to our next few segments because, as you said, we're going to be getting into prep season for the 24th of May half marathon derby. So hoping to get some training tips and advice from our experts, and we're really looking forward to that.
Can we see you on the start line?
Just put it out.
You may not see me on the start line, but you will definitely see me on one of the legs because I'm going to be doing
Really?
relay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fitness. I like that.
I just done 3 days of obstacle courses. So, yeah.
But also, I just wanted to say a huge congratulations to everyone who finished the Bermuda Triple Challenge races, whether you did the full weekend or whether you did, one race as an individual or as a team. Congratulations to those people, and also congratulations to the organizers and sponsors.
All right. Good. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be back after this. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us in the boardroom of the August.
You want to say studio so bad.
You want to say studio so bad, right? It's Tim Price, a member of the Bermuda Half Marathon Derby Committee, as we prepare for the 2019 countdown. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
Good. Good
All is
afternoon.
well?
Glad to be here. Yes.
Good, good. Last time we chatted, you were interested in getting the word out about volunteers. I know you have the website up and running, and people have signed up on it. You just want to do it in a different form this time on the radio. What's the numbers, or who are you trying to get in contact with people for you regarding the volunteers?
So yeah, this year we've switched over to an online volunteer sign up. So anyone and everyone who's interested in volunteering can go to the Bermuda Half Marathon Derby website, and then there's a volunteer tab. You click on that, and it's got all your volunteer options right there. You click on if you want to do water stops, do the number pickup and expo, hand out medals at the finish line, whatever you want to do. You just click on the link from the volunteer page, and it will bring you to the sign-up website.
Now, you know, Bermudans wait to the last minute. So is there a deadline for this?
There is no deadline for volunteers. I know probably we'll get the most within the couple weeks leading into the race, but we're just trying to get the word out and get people signed up as soon as possible.
Now, the website is new for the Bermuda Half Marathon Derby. I think you guys made the launch in February of this year. How are things looking on the website? What other information is available for people?
Everything there is about the race is on our new website. So the course, what time the race starts, where the expo is, where number pickup is, how to register for the race. So it's a very well done and very comprehensive race website. So any questions at all can get answered through the website. And if you can't find an answer, there's an email address that you can reach out to make sure you're all set for race day.
Back to the question regarding volunteers. Any certain numbers you're looking for volunteers?
I believe on the website it's around 315 or so people, but we'll always welcome more. If we get that sort of response, we'll find places to volunteer.
And the good thing about volunteers is that you guys give away free T-shirts.
Yep. So all the volunteers will get a race day shirt. It'll be different than the runner's shirt, but it'll have the 110th anniversary logo on the front with all our sponsors on the back. Really nice looking shirts.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add that I did not ask?
As far as volunteers go, we pretty much covered that, but we're just looking to get everyone registered for the race as well. I guess volunteers, if you volunteer, you'll be put into a special raffle.
Oh.
So we'll be giving away a prize to one lucky volunteer. And then another incentive for those of you looking to run, if you register before the end of this month, so by the end of March, you'll be put in a raffle for a prize as well. So an early registration raffle.
So that's kind of new then, because you're saying an early registration raffle for competitors and a raffle for volunteers.
Yep. And then there'll be other raffles as well as some more prizes we're giving away for certain special things.
All right.
That we're
So what have you
keeping under
signed up?
wraps
What have you
now.
signed up for?
I was the very first person to sign up.
Okay, so you're competing this year. You're running.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So this year's coming out of St. George's.
Yep.
This is not the first time for you coming out of St. George's, correct?
I've only run out of St. George's.
Oh, you don't
Yeah.
run out of the West.
I wasn't here on
Last year.
island last year for it.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So what are you looking for time for you this year, time-wise?
Yeesh, I don't know. Hopefully under 130,
Okay.
125, something like that.
That's pretty good, eh?
What did you think of the course?
I like it. It's fun. It's
Get the causeway out of the way early.
yeah. You get the nice flat part to begin with in it, and then it gets tricky about halfway through climbing up Middle Road,
Right.
then back down, and then back up to the stadium. You get a nice mile-long climb before going into town. But it's fun.
Good.
It's a good course.
How do you rate this race, Tim? You've been around the world, or North America, regarding running, and you've done a lot of international events. How do you rate the half marathon derby race?
It's a great event. it's the community support that makes it what it is. I mean, having spectators out for pretty much the whole thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like one of the bigger marathons in the States where you get crowds all lining the way. It helps the runners, gives them something to think about besides how hot it is. All the hills and all the hills they're gonna find. So it's a great event, and it really does a good job of showcasing Bermuda. You get to see a good 13 miles of the island, and yeah, it's a great start to the holiday weekend.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, my final question again, for volunteers to get in contact, if you go to the website, what's the website address again?
The website is bermudamarathon.bm.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, Tim. We're going to take one final commercial break, and when we come back, we speak with Mr. Jacon Ednis, representative of Bermuda Department of Youth and Sport, as the awards are going to be handed out this Thursday night at the Southampton Princess Hotel. We'll be back after this. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. As we said, we have Mr. Jacon Ednis, representative of the Bermuda Department of Youth Sport and Recreation. The annual Sports Awards is going to be this Thursday night at the Fairmont Southampton Princess Hotel. Give us an update how things to be looking like on Thursday night as you roll out the event.
Yeah, things looking very well. This last year we celebrated women in sport. This year we are celebrating immortal athletes in sport. You know, it's easy for us to forget about those athletes who came before us, who put in the hard yards and represented themselves and the island exceptionally well. So we just be celebrating those individual athletes, vignettes, and you know, let's remind the public of their accomplishments.
So, I ain't gonna ask them nothing.
Please do, by all means. By all means. The event gets underway. Go ahead. Sorry, you said
there's athletes I haven't really made public as yet, but there's athletes Brian Rowan, Sean Goda, Kara Aiken, Troy Darrell, Dwayne Perman. I'm missing two.
Okay.
Can't remember, but it's along those lines. Athletes who did well within their sport.
They'll be featured on the night.
Will be featured on the night with a vignette reminding the public of Sean Goda.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
A vignette on their accomplishments, just remind the public of their accomplishments.
Mm. Every year we get to this point where it's getting up to the night, and we're trying to encourage the public to come out because they'll all complain if the person that they feel should have gotten into.
Right.
Why would you be encouraging the public to come out this time around?
Because not only is it a celebration of our current athletes, but it's also a celebration of past athletes. As I mentioned, immortal athletes will be celebrating, but it's also, Peter Brumby was another one.
Okay.
Paul Luna,
Okay.
Sailors. Right. Also, it's about celebrating past athletes as well. There's two, I don't want to give on too much, but there's two teams that involved in this award ceremony, and it's just historic in the things that they accomplished that I didn't even know as a football and a cricket fan. So if you're interested in finding out who those two teams are, come out, have a good time. Cost of tickets is only $15. Actually, the cost of a ticket is less than a Shirley Temple up
That's
Southampton.
What are you trying to do?
A Shirley Temple.
I didn't want to talk about alcohol. I'm just saying. It's a monumental experience celebrating our athletes, and as I say time and time again, a lot of athletes are not paid for their contribution or their performance on the field, so their currency is recognition. So to be there for them, encouraging them, and also hopefully inspire the next generation of athletes, that's what it's all about.
Interesting. You made a good point about our athletes and they're amateurs, and at least probably 98% of our athletes are amateurs.
Yeah.
And the performance that they put out and what they get in return doesn't equal. But the fact is that your department is recognizing this and you're working hard at it. I think that people like yourself and your directors and your team that put the work forth needs to be recognized as well, because sports plays a big part in Bermuda. And it just doesn't get the recognition it does. But without your department and the committees that you guys have, it wouldn't be possible. So again, I give credit to you guys on that. I know you guys try to achieve each year, putting new things forth, and that goes unrecognized. How do you guys brainstorm this in the off season and put this together, making sure that this event is held each year?
A lot of thought process goes into it. Trying to figure out what's our theme going to be first and foremost, and then trying to inform the public on what's happening with the award, when nomination forms are out, this and that. Can't forget the person, Amir from Gino Group, who's putting on the awards on our behalf this year. He organizes it, does our commercials for us and things like that. So it's a collaborative effort, all in the name of sport. And as you said, the Doors play a very large role in our community. Hopefully, I'm still alive when the day comes that it gets the recognition it deserves and the funding that it deserves. But until that day, we just keep trying to make things happen on the budget that we have.
Right. Is it a challenge that you have to look at over 38 sporting governing bodies in Bermuda to recognize these athletes for their accomplishments?
It can be challenging. Let's talk about national sport governing bodies. We actually have a policy going out right now. National sport body policy, just to recertify every sport governing body on island, to ensure that they meet a minimum standard of governance. When I say that, I mean, do they have an AGM every year? Do they have a membership? Who's executive? Administration. What's the constitution? Different things like that, to ensure that they have these very basic things that you need to be a sport governing body in place before you actually get the recognition of being a national sport governing body. So that's in place right now, and yes, that number is around 36 to 38, but that number could be smaller once this this process is over and done with. Applications are due in first Friday in April.
Is this new?
It's a new
process?
It's a new policy that we've put in place. At the end of the day, if we want sports to improve, administration has to be tight as well.
Yeah.
The people who put these sport development things in place for their sport, ensure that they are doing the right thing so that in turn the sport is represented properly. Yeah, so that's new. So that number could change, could increase, could decrease, who knows? But
the fact is the policy will be in place.
The policy is in place, applications are out, and applications are due in 1st of April.
How much does it mirror their governing bodies?
What's that?
How much does it mirror their governing bodies?
I mean, it mirrors pretty much what a national school governing body should do. Bare minimum standard. Same way as charities has their standard. Business, you have to have certain things in line to be considered a business. You have to have certain things in line to get a passport. Same thing with national sport governing bodies. There's checks and balances that have to be met. And if you want that title, these are the checks and balances that have to be met. That wasn't necessarily in place.
Right.
Prior.
You anticipate any surprises on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's always room in the bucket for surprises. There's always room in the bucket for surprises. It's actually a good question. It is a good setting, I must say. Good setting. It's new. I'm used to having the headphones on, and used to see Don Bassett there.
Yeah.
Don Bassett?
Yes, Don Bassett. He's listening to you.
Yes, good day, Don. How you doing? But
he spoke to you, caught you off guard, right?
But yeah, I would hope there's some surprises. Oh, you should know. You were on the committee.
I'm not saying anything until Thursday night.
Well, that's my answer to you.
My final question before we wrap up. You're a big Liverpool fan. You've got 7 games remaining. What are your chances? What's Liverpool's chance of winning the league?
Hold on.
I have
questions that deal. Ain't you a Liverpool fan?
I am. Everyone knows I'm a Liverpool fan.
Right.
I'm just winning it back to him.
But you're acting like you stick up for Manchester United. And
Okay, all right. Let me reword it.
Yeah.
Jacon, you're not Liverpool.
Yes.
You never walk alone. What are our chances of winning?
Chances are extremely, extremely good this year.
Your horses in the lead right now.
Well, leading the pack. You know, I'm hoping that continues. I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking very promising.
Very promising.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Champions League as well.
Champions League.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You'll be in touch for sure.
Yes. Very important.
Cool. Well, we have to wrap it up here from August. I want to thank them for allowing us to come back and do our second broadcast here from the boardroom, the Norfolk room in August Group Insurance. As they're one of our sponsors for Inside Sports Talk Radio. We want to thank them. Any final comments, Earl?
No, just have a sporty week. Hopefully this rain goes away and things brighten up so we can get through quite a bit of different sports in the coming weeks.
Sure.
And be not too hot for Tim leaving St. George's.
He'll be fine.
But the sun's at his back. So
at his back, and he runs anytime.
Yeah.
I'm seeing him out there at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock mornings.
Coming from the east, it's just a glow coming up the road.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Not
That's
that
right.
dingy look coming from the west.
But who has the car?
We're talking about May 24th.
Right, but you're saying dingy.
But
So
coming out of that dingy,
the west. Where's the car? The car match car.
God's country, as they call it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Where's the bank? Locked up.
Ain't it in the bank?
What bank? Yeah, no, it's in the club, isn't it?
No.
Safe deposit box?
It's in the bank, yeah.
You
only touch it when you got a picture with it, and then it
right. That's when you.
I've carried it on the horse a few times.
Yeah.
3 times to be
the
exact.
replica.
No, I carried the real deal.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you guys didn't have it that many times.
3 times. The real deal 3 times.
If
No, we're gonna do this too.
If my memory serves me correct, then you guys were the cup last year, 2018.
2-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
In Somerset.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, so you could tell me anything.
I'll show you the videotape.
You could show me whatever you wanted.
Matter of fact, I text you when you was there. You said, "Oh my God, couldn't see him." Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining Inside Sports Talk Radio.